What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 55 of Value Town. I'm ChanManV, of course, joined by Reynad here, and we've got our guest, the first time on Value Town, Vlps. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, man.
Yeah, good to be on here. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, we've got some third wing of League of Explorers released today. Actually, I think it literally just released like a few minutes ago. But I figured we'd do a show just talking about, just at least talking about the cards again. I know we went over the cards a little bit whenever League of Explorers first came out. But given just the landscape of what we've seen with the cards in the first two wings, I figured we should just evaluate quickly what the Ruined City cards are going to look like to you guys. But let's start off with some news. Going to start off the news topic with
news straight from the heart.
Okay, so we've got besides obviously the Ruined City just talk, we had something announced at least yesterday in Reddit, which was pertaining to Oddshot. And given that Reynad, kind of started the whole discussion with the whole Oddshot thing a few weeks ago, and whether it was on your stream, on Reddit, and also on my other show, Unfiltered, they did announce a partners program. So I kind of wanted to see what your thoughts on that was, Ray. Any comments on just them announcing that and is your opinion pretty much the same about them or no?
I mean, I think the meaningful change is the opt-out option. That's like the only thing I really asked for in my original post, and they have it. So I'm happy. Now they don't just ignore you when you email them asking to be opted out. Now they actually do it, apparently. So that's cool. I think the $30,000 per month, like Spotify model of let's pay people, crumbs based on how many views they bring to the site. They're basically paying $30,000 to buy the goodwill of the Hearthstone subreddit. So good on them. Of all the places to publish an announcement that only affects Twitch broadcasters, of course they picked the Hearthstone subreddit. Right? It's definitely not just a PR stunt. I mean, what they're paying, to put it into perspective, is about like 1/5 of what you would make on YouTube per view, and it doesn't solve the problem at all for content creators. But most of the people in that Reddit post decided to tell me how much I would make, and decided to tell me that it fixed the problem. So good on them. I've actually never been that mad at Reddit. Well, no. I was
really.
I was mad. I was way madder at Reddit during the Magic Amy thing. I'm just
yeah.
sad, honestly. I just feel sad about the state of the human race. I can't properly express how stupid I feel the people who are bringing up the music copyright issue is.
Oh yeah.
I explain to them why it's so disgusting and such a slap in the face to bring it up, when the topic shouldn't be that at all, and the topic is Oddshot, and they do it anyway. And you can look at some of the most upvoted things in that thread. I threw up, man. I would, not even exaggerating, I don't think I'm going to post on that website again. I've never
What, on the subreddit?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I hate the mods. I hate the people on it. I hate everything about the amount of pure rage and disappointment. I've never
What do you hate about the mods?
For about 2 years now, they were doing some very biased post removals.
Okay.
Basically, Trump singing videos would be okay, right? That's Hearthstone content. But then
right.
you're forcing have something funny happen that's not Hearthstone content, it goes down.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I had that. I had those couple streams that peaked at 40K where I was playing Token Warlock and Shaman last week, and somebody linked my deck list from those things on Reddit, and one of the mod posts was, oh, it's a Tempo Storm deck list. Don't fucking link this website again. They have a paywall on some of their stuff, but this is okay because it shows the deck list, even though all of our stuff shows the deck list. There's no paywall.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like little things like that. You know, I don't want to make this all negative. Let's move on. But fuck Reddit. Fuck everybody who posted there, and not everybody. Some people were like reasonable, rational human beings. But like, I swear to God, if like we talked about it on Unfiltered, you know, like how can you get through to these people? Like, is it even worth convincing them? Right? Like, no matter what, they want to sound edgy by trying to call somebody a hypocrite, even though it like completely detracts from the issue. As like comparing apples and oranges. Like, I'm not even gonna get started on the music argument because to start arguing about it is like to validate it, you know?
Right. All right.
But yeah, man.
VLPS, do you have any opinions on the whole Oddshot thing? I mean, you're a streamer too, so.
Yeah, I'm a streamer. I'm a new streamer, so Reynad probably has a little bit more knowledge on the issue than I do. I do like the idea of them supporting the content creators. I was actually curious how much that $30,000 per month would equate to if compared to something like YouTube. So to find out from Reynad here, it's like 1/5 that you would get on YouTube is kind of doesn't seem fair to me, at least. But yeah, I mean, I like the direction that they're taking now, actually giving some support. But if that could ever reach levels of YouTube, I think that would be a little bit more fair, obviously.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. My thoughts are the same. I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction, but them announcing it so early when it's not, I don't think it's completely spelled out. Just $30,000 sounds like a lot, but it isn't that much, guys. If you're talking about every single Twitch streamer that possibly they could possibly have Oddshot videos for, but at least they're trying. I give them at least that much credit. But I feel like we're far from it actually being, like you said, fair or viable compared to YouTube.
Yeah.
But of course they chose Hearthstone because Reynad is the person that brought it, to light, really, or at least the most influential person that's actually.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect the readers of the Hearthstone subreddit, does it? How many of them make content?
Right? Of course not. But it was also posted on I think it was also posted on Dota 2, like the r/Dota 2. So it wasn't just Hearthstone, but
the co-founder was there answering questions for a few hours on the fucking Candy Crush subreddit. Like, it's if you're gonna tell me that's not a PR stunt,
really?
like,
oh my god, okay. What are you doing on the Candy Crush subreddit?
What? No, the Hearthstone. I meant the Hearthstone.
Oh, Hearthstone. Oh,
I get them confused sometimes.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't get that joke.
Candy Crush is the one with competitive integrity.
Okay. Well, anyways, I figured I would bring that up, given that that seemed to be a major thing a couple of days ago. But let's get into some card talk. We have VLPS joining us today, and I figured we would do our
Golden Good or Gimmick.
Golden Good or Gimmick here with the Ruined City cards. And let's see, there's about 11, 12 cards here, and I figured we just kind of go through each of them. So let's start off with Huge Toad here. Let me switch the view here. Okay, so Huge Toad, 2-drop 3/2 beast, death rattle, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. And this is kind of the Golden Good or Gimmick. Kind of put it somewhere in there. If you think it's golden, it's like a great card. Good, solid, maybe solid in the future, but it doesn't have to be like elite viable now. And Gimmick is just like never good type of thing. Ray, Huge Toad. It's a beast.
Naxxramas and then Minibot. Like Naxxramas and GVG both made 2-drops like so stupidly good that they almost can't print a new one that will see a lot of play.
Yeah, that's
so yeah, it's just this card would be fine if Hearthstone had like rotating formats, but yeah, that not even close to good enough, I think, when you compare it to things like Minibot and all of that. But some people play Flame Juggler, so maybe you could play it in Hunter or Druid or something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it is a beast, right? So there might be some synergy there. VLPS, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Reynad's points. There's been a lot of power creeping 2 slot, and I see what they're trying to do with it. Like it's similar to Flame Juggler and Knife Juggler in the sense that now this is like a new type of death rattle. But I don't know. I don't see it being as good as Knife Juggler and Ready Bot. Those power creep drops that we see in those aggro decks. I guess it's meant for aggro decks more so than control decks. But I guess the only positive is that it is a beast. So maybe if druids get more beasts down the line, maybe this will have some viability in that. Maybe some hunters might consider running this as a one of like Flame Juggler. So, but I don't see it being played very much in constructed.
All right, so gimmick conclusion on this card. All right, next up we got Gorilla Bot, A3. It's a 4-drop, 3/4 body mech, battle cry. If you control another mech, discover a mech. VLPS, what do you think about this?
I guess the immediate comparison when you see a 4-mana mini nowadays is how does it compare to Piloted Shredder? And I think compared to Piloted Shredder, it's not that great. But if we look at the mech decks that are out there now, Mech Mage being probably the biggest mech themed deck out there, I could see this being better than like a Mechanical Yeti, maybe. Is it it's a 3/4, not the best stats for 4 mana, but at the same time it's kind of drawing you a card and it's drawing you a mech, which continues the mech theme within your deck. So I could see this possibly seeing play in a very, very mech themed deck like Mech Mage as a one of maybe, but when comparing it strictly to Shredder, I think it's a worse card. I think it's solid though. I think it's solid.
All right, Ray.
Yeah, pretty much agree with the LPS and everything there. I think it's most likely not going to see play. I've been playing a lot of Mech Mage lately. That's what I streamed most of yesterday. And I play like Azure Drakes in that deck, but I'd still rather have Azure Drakes than this card, I think. The Azure Drakes draw you into burn, which are like the kind of cards you want to be drawing at that stage of the game. And then they're like more consistent, right? You don't have to have the mech. So if you're behind on board, you can still like play it and try to draw into burn for lethal.
Yeah.
Whereas this card's like decent if you're ahead, but you're like on turn 5, you're not going to have an empty hand yet. You're still going to have stuff to play. So it's like getting the extra mech option on curve is not that valuable. So turn 4, you'd almost always rather have a Shredder, just like when you compare any 4-drop in the game. But later in the game, you might rather have this thing, I guess. You could maybe get like a Fell Reaver play the turn after you play this card. But yeah, most of the time, probably not going to see play.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we got a good from VLPS, right? Somewhere in there, and then a gimmick from Reynad, or somewhere between good and gimmick, I would say, for this card. All right, next one is our first Murloc card. It's a Paladin card, 10 mana. Anything can happen. It's a rare card. Summon 7 Murlocs that died this game. Obviously, has to be a Murloc deck to have 7 Murlocs be played and dying to get full value from this card. What do you guys think?
I think the one thing that people have been theory crafting is that OTK setup where you run 2 Grimscale Oracles, 2 Bluegill Warriors, 2 Murloc War Leaders, and an Old Murk-Eye. And when you play this card, those 3 charged minions do exactly 30 damage.
Oh wow! I didn't actually do the math.
Yeah, it comes out to the Old Murk-Eye and the 2 Bluegill Warriors doing exactly 30 damage in one turn. I think it's 14, 14, 8, and 8. The only problem with it is though, obviously, like Paladins kind of lack the card cycle. So, one, like, will they have the ability to cycle through their entire deck and play this on turn 10? And also, I'm assuming if you're trying to run that combo, it's going to be some type of aggro Paladin type of deck, and those games even go to turn 10 most of the time. Probably not. So, I don't know. It sounds pretty interesting. I would want to try that type of setup myself, but overall, I think it's kind of a gimmick card, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. Like the combo Paladin deck is the only thing you would play this in, but I think it might actually be decent. You don't play it in an aggressive shell. You have to play it in a control deck, I think.
Yeah.
And you just kind of throw your Murlocs out to trade with stuff. But I think it could work because you kind of want to already play Murloc Knight anyway, which doesn't like OTK them, but it lets you just play this as a good value card in control matchups.
Yeah.
So I think that I really wish it cost 9. That would be a pretty big difference. But anyway, it might be good, right? Like I know what the deck looks like in my head, and I know how to build it. I just don't know how good it ends up being. Like until we actually play with it, it's tough to really say how good it'll be.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that people are going to try it for probably a decent amount of time too. I mean, I'd give it a couple weeks at least. People trying it, so at least that's exciting. We'll be seeing some more Murlocs in Paladin and in Shaman, which we'll talk about in a second too. So there's the next card we got. So I think that card's more in the gimmick side of things, or at least you guys conclude on gimmick. The next card is another Murloc. It's Merlok Tiny Fin. It's a 0 mana, 1/1, and there's no text on it, just a vanilla card.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of another vanilla Murloc here?
I mean, I think it takes the slot as the new cutest card in the game.
Cutest card in the game.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it might see playing like a very highly themed Murloc deck, but I don't even doubt that. So I don't know. I don't see it being used very often. I think it's just a straight gimmick card.
Look at the picture on this thing. This matches in a fight against a well-trained armored paladin with a sword. Like it trades with a recruit.
A recruit, yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's not right.
It looks like the next. It looks like the next plushie, like plushie thing sold in the merch store. But what's the purpose of making a card like this? How about that? Is that a good? That's a follow-up question.
Man, every 0 mana card people like laugh at, but give it enough expansions and these things become broken. Wisp,
Really?
Tiny Fin. Oh yeah.
Huh.
Like
Okay.
every 0 mana card like ever in other card games has done something degenerate at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't had like the right amount of the right like support cards yet for a deck like this to work. For example, let's say they print like a couple more effects or a couple more 0 mana creatures that look really terrible. Then you just make this deck, as soon as a support card gets printed, it's like, oh, whenever a minion comes into play, draw a card or whatever. And it's, you play this, you dump your hand, draw your deck, dump more 0 cost cards, draw more cards, and then all of a sudden you have a full board and you can do it all over the next turn if they AoE you. So I don't know. We just don't have like the support card yet to do degenerate things with this. But, if the metagame speeds up a lot, if there's way more Murlocs that come out, I will never say a 0 mana card is unplayable ever. Like they all have potential at some point. It's just they go from unplayable to broken very quickly without much middle ground yet. But do you want to say last card? Anything can happen. I wouldn't say that's gimmick. Like that's a card that's either a gimmick or it's like Mysterious Challenger levels.
Crazy
of dumb,
good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Probably a gimmick.
Well, it's definitely good that they can have a range like that, before actually getting played. So, all right. Well, what's your thoughts on VLPS, like creating a card like Merlok Tiny Fin?
I agree with Reynad. Like as more cards come into the game, I think it gains more value. It also, thinking on it a little bit more, Hobgoblin could be a thing. If a lot of good 1-drops come out, and maybe there's like a lot more good Murlocs in the game, maybe like a Hobgoblin Murloc deck would be viable if there's somehow a new like cycle mechanic. The problem with running Murlocs a lot of these times is like having the cycle to support it. So like now it's been like any Murloc deck that really has existed that's been kind of successful has kind of had to be used in a Warlock type of deck where you can hero power and draw into those Murlocs. So if there's ever new like cycle mechanic cards that come out, like Battle Rage was really insane with Grim Patron. If that ever happens for a class, and maybe they can fill their deck up with a lot of Murlocs, maybe a Hobgoblin, maybe a couple of these, and all of a sudden you have a very powerful aggro deck. So I agree with Reynad. As more cards come into the game, these cards could become more powerful over time.
Well, for a cycle, I mean, Divine Favor is like ridiculous card cycle there, right? And that's why.
Yeah, Wisp is already good in that deck, so you can play Tiny Fin as well and get more ridiculous opening hands. It also makes Jeeves better, so that alone might make this good enough right off the bat. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next up we got a rogue card. It's a 1-drop Pit Snake. It's a beast. It's a 2/1 body, and it destroys any minions damaged by this minion. So it's similar to the Cobra. What are your thoughts?
I think they missed an opportunity here for a really cool card. Like at a 2/1, this will never see play ever, right? Because you play it late in the game, it's never going to trade for a big minion because late in the game, it's always easy to squeeze in a hero power. And turn 1 and 2, having 2 power is pretty much going to trade with the same stuff, whether it has that ability or not.
Yeah.
But if the stats were flipped, that would be a super interesting card.
Okay.
It would actually be like a card that I think Rogue would play. It would be a 1-drop that Rogue would play. It's like Rogue's an interesting class because it has the best early game hero power in the game, and it's one of the only classes that's like very happy hero powering turn 2. So this could actually be like a turn 1. Like I got Legendary like 2 months ago playing Rogue with Lowly Squires, and that was like pretty good. But this could be like even better than that. And yeah, I'm just sad they didn't flip the stats on it, basically. But I don't think it's playable as a 2/1.
Well, it'd be way better than Lowly Squire, right? If it was because of the late game possibilities of it, right?
Yeah, but like late game, it's easy to deal 2 damage as well. It's just it would force them to have the board or like use a Keep Early Grove Battle Cry on it or something. Like maybe that's too strong, but I don't think it would have been too strong as a 1/2. I think it would have been a really interesting card.
Okay.
It's crazy though, just like how good Rogue has been, just like traditional oil Rogue, even though it hasn't gotten a card in like 2 expansions.
I know. That does speak for a lot. How it's like the Rogue decks that are viable are just crazy strong, like the Miracle Rogue at the time, and then Oils had a good duration here now. VLPS, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Reynad. I think if this was a 1/2, it would be an interesting card that could see play, but as a 1 health minion, I don't see it being a good card to actually run in your deck. I was going to say that Mounted Raptor becomes better after today, after this card is released, just due to the possibility of it coming out. I know my first game that I queue on ladder today against Nagadrid, they're probably going to get a Pit Snake out of their Mounted Raptor. So playing the card from your hand, probably not the best. Coming out of a Mounted Raptor, you're always very happy. But yeah, I don't see this card being played just due to the 1 health aspect.
Better or worse than Assassin?
A lot worse.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say worse.
Yeah, just because of the fact that you can get pinged, right? Okay. All right, next up. So for that one, I would probably say Gimmick. Gimmick, maybe a little better than Gimmick, but all right. Naga Sea Witch, 5-drop. It's an epic card. Your 5/5 body. Your card costs 5 mana, or your cards cost 5 mana. So anything in your hand costs 5 mana. What you guys think?
I think it's probably going to be too hard to make work, but it's kind of interesting. 5-drops are really competitive as far as slots go in most decks, and the only deck that plays a lot of expensive things would be something like Druid. The problem with this card is that it's not good in every draw that you have, right? So like if I have a hand that's a bunch of like cheap cards and removal, and I play a few of them leading up to turn 5, and then I play Naga Sea Witch, it's like if it lives, like the stats you're paying for aren't as good as any other 5-mana minion in the game. But then like if your hand still has a bunch of cheap stuff, it's actually a drawback. Like you don't. And if you have a bunch of expensive stuff in your hand, then you're dead by the time you played it. So it's tough to like see a scenario where this is really good. I mean, I could see it saving you like a mana on Ancient of Lore or something, but yeah, I have a really hard time seeing a way to get value out of this card. One of the bigger problems too is like if you have 5 mana to play this, and the next turn you're like wasting a mana the next turn, basically, right? Like it's not saving you 2 mana on Ancient of Lore. It's only saving you 1 mana on Ancient of Lore because you have 6 mana total. You can only play one thing the turn after you play this. So I don't know. To me, it feels like a really awkwardly statted pint-sized summoner that can sometimes have a drawback. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. There could be some ridiculous ramp deck where it does stuff.
So you mentioning Ancient Lore, is it mainly for the value or just mainly for just Ancient Lore being played in majority of Druid decks, and this would be just the most subtle change, adding a Naga Sea Witch? Because I would think you would shoot for higher, right? Or something that's like...
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of an average scenario, right? Like, yeah, obviously playing like a Malagos turn 6 is going to be good, but like how to consistently do that, your deck would have to be terrible. Like you'd have to play so many expensive things. You'd have to live up to the point of playing Naga Sea Witch. The Naga Sea Witch would have to live in order for you to like be able to play the crappy cards in your hand.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no way a deck like that works. There's probably now that I've said that, if this card does end up being broken, people are going to quote that rather than what I'm about to say now. There might be some double nourish, like really absurd type of ramp deck that could work with this. Maybe you play it with like Astral Communion or something.
Yeah, Astral Communion was what I was thinking. If you have 2 cards, you can at least play it, right? With it. But VLPS, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when you see the card text, you kind of immediately think some type of deck that runs high cost cards, like maybe like a ramp type of druid. I think the biggest problem is there's so many competitive cards at the 5 slot. You know, you have Belchers, you have Lotheb, you have a lot of cards that can you really afford to cut, because survivability is an issue as well. You know, can you even make it to turn 10 nowadays with aggro shamans on ladder, you know, aggro druids on ladder? Can you even make it that late into the game? And if you're cutting a card like, you know, Belcher for this card, that's just going to hurt your chances of making it to this point in the game where it would see value, you know, on turn 10. I think I saw, you know, other people discussing the fact that, like, if you have a Ysera and this card in your hand on, say, turn 9, you're going to play the Ysera anyway on turn 9. So when turn 10 rolls around, you know, you're not going to be seeing the insane value of playing this card followed by the Ysera for 5 mana. So I don't know. Overall, I think this card could work in maybe some type of very, very heavy ramp, you know, druid, but I don't see it being played over the more consistent 5 drops like Belcher and Lotheb.
Yeah, agreed. Better or worse than Aviana, guys?
I would say probably worse.
Okay.
Probably worse, yeah.
Yeah, Aviana at least has that innervate play. You can get like three minions down, which can be nice. Okay, well, let's see which we'll say gimmick for now, and we'll see if it ends up becoming better. Somebody comes up with something cool. All right, next up we've got I think a card a lot of people have been looking forward to in this release. It's a 1-drop, Sir Finley Murgleton. It's a Murloc, of course. It's a 1/3 body, Battlecry Discover, and new basic hero power. What you think?
I guess the one card you kind of compare this to off the bat is Ogre Magi. Same exact mana cost, same exact stat line. Only difference being +1 spell damage, and it's only for yourself. But you kind of have to ask yourself, is it worth that extra 1 spell damage? You know, bearing in mind that your opponent in turn has 2 spell damage. You know, I don't know. I don't see it being that great. It's also a kind of card that kind of can't really look at as a 4-drop, because if you play it on 4, you're then giving your opponent the benefit first, and then if
no, we're talking about Sir Finley, right?
We're on Sir Finley.
Yeah, not Jungle Moonkin, but Sir Finley.
Wow,
sorry.
One card behind. Sir Finley. Sorry. This is a card that I see possibly seeing play in a deck like Aggro Shaman, a deck where the theme is to obviously, you know, burn your opponent down as fast as possible, but at the end of the day, you have, you know, this bad hero power in the sense that you summon a random totem. So I would see Sir Finley possibly seeing play in type of Aggro Shaman deck. It's also interesting that you have the ability to use your hero power, then play this card for 1 mana, and then you know, you can hero power again if you so choose. So that's a pretty cool effect as well. I think this card's pretty interesting. I'm actually excited to try this out in something like Aggro Shaman, or maybe like a Tempo Rogue deck. The dagger's not as valuable.
Ray?
Yeah, I think all of the Explorer guys in this adventure are all very, very good. So this is very it's cool that they're also playable. I think Sir Finley it'll definitely see play in Aggro Shaman. That's what everyone's saying. I mean, yeah, it will. The question is, like, where else will it see play? It's cool that there's another 1-mana Murloc with actually like sticky stats this time. So that might help Murloc decks. I'll definitely be in those. I think like there are decks in the game that this definitely helps out when the hero power just doesn't really work with what you're trying to do. Right. Maybe like Raptor Rogue, this could be good in or something. You know, like it's a deck that usually doesn't play Deadly Poison or anything like that. Like maybe it could be good in that. some Paladin decks maybe. It's tough to say what he's playing, but I know that it's good. I know that it's flexible, and just like 1-mana cards of those kind of stat lines and an effect like that are really strong. So I'm surprised the card exists. At least like I'm surprised this is the text on it, because I know Blizzard doesn't really like mixing the classes too much. Like they want every class to have its own identity and everything, and this is just like another way to play with things that other classes should be doing. But it's definitely good. And it is a little bit. I like the discover mechanic, but this is going to get a little frustrating sometimes with Shaman, because like there's like a 1 in 48 or something, 1 in a million chance that you get like the 3 bad hero powers, which is like warrior, priest, plus whatever, which would like be really tilting, because I know it's going to happen to me like 3 games in a row, and I'm going to stop my stream. But like your hero power is still bad, right? Like if you have the Shaman hero power, it's like still bad, right? So yeah, you're still getting a 1-mana 1/3, I guess. Anyway, yeah, card is strong. I think we'll see playing stuff. I'm not sure what it'll see playing aside from aggro Shaman, but in aggro Shaman, it's definitely like very, very, very good.
Yeah. I mean, I think all those decks that you guys mentioned it's definitely going to be. That's what everybody's going to try it in for sure. I'm a little curious about just Hunter. You know what I mean? Like Hunter's decks that have been built have always been it's been built around the hero power for the most part, you know, tempo, because there's been no way to play control Hunter. So it'd be cool to see if people experiment with Murloc with Hunter and see if they can come up with a control Hunter. It's very, very difficult at this point, but I think it's always been solely based on the hero power.
I think you're right, yeah. Or aggro priest.
Yeah, something like that. But you bring up a good point about you're surprised about the text on this. And I kind of feel the same way too, because it's funny because the whole hero power thing and the whole class thing about Hearthstone is like a double-edged sword, because it's what makes Hearthstone unique, you know, from the standpoint of TCG, because we do have these classes, but at the same time, it makes it like extremely hard to design because of the limitations, right? Like Hunter, for instance, is the example I just gave. It's really hard to have to design classes around it, and a lot of times it just pigeonholes a class, like it has, I think, with Hunter. Overall, do you think it's a good or bad thing, both of you guys? Vlps, have you go first on this one.
I guess it's probably a bad thing for the competitive scene. I guess it's a good thing for kind of making the game a little bit more fun and open to new players or just the casual players in the scene. But yeah, I mean, I don't like the direction in terms of how it would affect the competitive scene of things. You know, having that type of effect.
Meaning because of the kind of conquest formats and because of the formats that we're seeing, or like what exactly?
Yeah, and I don't know. It just feels like it's like Reynad said. You know, he said, you know, knowing his luck, he would draw. You know, he would get the wrong here. You know, discover the wrong hero power 3 times in a row. So I don't like that aspect of it. How it's such, you know, if you're playing this in aggro Shaman, if you get the 100 hero power, it's amazing. It's insane, actually. If you get, you know, Priest, Paladin, and Shaman, or Priest, Paladin, and Rogue, for example, you're probably not as happy. So that's why I don't like it from that standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, it is cool though. It's like this is a very low opportunity cost card. Like when I play Ragnaros, that's a huge investment. That's 8 mana, and if that hits the wrong thing, I lose the game.
Yeah.
Same thing with Implosion. If I roll a 2 on a Shredder, I lose the game. But this card, it's like even if you get the worst case outcome, your hero power is like still equally bad in whatever deck you put this in, and you still got a 1-mana 1/3, which is a really good stat line. So I think, yeah, in this case, it's the worst case scenario is not nearly as bad as like rolling a 2 on Implosion. So that's good.
Yeah. I mean, like in the aggro Shaman, getting health isn't that. I mean, it's probably better than the actual totem.
No, totem gets spell power, but there's no way.
There's spells. That's true. Yeah.
There's no way you would ever pick priest or warrior. So what's the worst hero power you could actually get? It would be rogue is decent, mage is decent.
Paladin
would be the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so certainly Murgleton, somewhere in that good range, probably a little bit closer to gold now. At least people trying it out immediately. Okay, Jungle Moonkin. So we got a Druid card, 4-drop, a 4/4 beast, and the text is both players have spell damage +2, and this is kind of what VLPS was talking about earlier. I guess you want to continue that thought of.
Yeah. I'll fall back on what I
the Magi
with earlier. It's kind of like the Ogre Magi type of card. 4 mana, 4/4, spell damage in the text, except you give your opponent that extra 1 damage. You give your opponent the extra 2 damage as well, and you get one extra damage yourself. It's kind of hard to look at it as a 4 mana card, just because if you play it on turn 4, your opponent gets to benefit off the spell damage before you do. So if they can somehow benefit off the spell damage and remove it at the same time, you're really seeing no benefit from it yourself. So it's kind of more so maybe like an 8 mana card where you can combo it with something like Swipe, or a 6 mana card, or you can combo it with Wrath. But I don't know. Overall, I would say it's probably no better than Ogre Magi, which obviously sees no play in Constructed.
Okay. Ray?
I think anytime you look at an individual spell power card, with the exception of Blood Mage or Azure Drake, you're always going to. It's always going to look bad on its own, because the way Blizzard has decided to balance all spell damage cards, except for Blood Mage and Azure Drake, is they basically decided to remove stats for spell damage.
Yep.
And basically, this is what I did. I thought this card was out in the first wing, so I started building a spell damage deck. Realized it wasn't out. I switched to Rogue, and when you're playing all of the crappy spell damage cards, when you're playing the 2/6 Kobold, the 2/2 Kobold, Azure Drake, Blood Mage, sometimes Magi, sometimes Dalaran Mage, that actually gives you some disgusting turns. I was holding top 100 Legend with spell damage Rogue. And that card is playing 4 Kobolds. It's not,
Oh my god, wow.
So I imagine in Druid, this the deck probably sucks, right? But what if it doesn't? What if you just play all the spell damage crap, and then you get pretty absurd Moonfires with this? You get pretty good Starfalls. Swipes are disgusting. So I think on their own, all the spell damage cards suck, but eventually there are 10 playable ones that you put all in the same deck, and then it's just something that we haven't really seen in a long time in Hearthstone that could actually be really good.
From the standpoint of, I guess, the benefits of spell power for you, I think those are all good points. What about the spell giving your opponent spell damage? How do you think that affects things here? Because a Consecrate would just clear this and whatever that's 4 health, right? Is that terrible value to give to your opponent too? Do you take that into account at all, or no?
Well, I think the spell power card is one of the few that you just play differently with. Instead of stacking all your spell damage dudes, you just play this one on its own most of the time, so that AoE doesn't wreck you.
Yeah.
You also don't need 2 guys, since this one acts as 2 of them on its own. So, the only time you would flood your board with spell damage minions is, and this guy is when you have lethal, I think.
Okay. All right, so Moonkin, what do you guys think? Good gimmick, somewhere in between there, or
probably gimmick?
I'll call it gimmick. Yeah.
All right, gimmick for that Druid card. All right, next up we've got the class, or at least this is the class challenge cards. First up, we've got another trap for Hunter, 2-drop, of course. It's called Dart Trap. Secret: when an opposing hero power is used, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. All right, so kind of a combination between tempo or just face damage, right? It's really random as to what happens if there is a minion on the board. What do you guys think?
It's gonna be an interesting one to play against. Do you just never hero power now? If that
I know, right?
Turn to.
Oh my god!
I don't know what the cost of never hero powering is. There's never been a card in the game that makes you think about that. I imagine it's not that high. I'll say this is a card that can't ever get too popular, right? It's like Snake Trap, because is a card where when you play around it, it does literally nothing. Something like Freezing Trap is like not only good when it works, but it's impossible to play around.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
This card, yeah, it's like the times that it gets you, it will get you very good. But I think after like the first week, we're gonna start seeing a lot less of it as people like start playing around it too much, and then it'll rotate back in as like a one of here and there, if I had to guess. But.
All right, Vlps, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to visualize because it's such a unique card, how good it is. But I can say that I like the direction that Hunter Secrets are taking. 2 years ago, it pretty much wasn't a secret. It was either freezing or explosive. It was not really a secret. Nowadays, you have, bear trap, snake trap, dart trap. So it's becoming more so of, do I hero power? Do I play around dart trap? Do I go face? Do I play around explosive and bear? It's becoming more of a secret. So I like that aspect of it. I agree with Reynad in the sense that it's one of those cards that probably won't see, you won't see people playing 2 of these versus 2 explosives or two freezings, but every once in a while, you'll see it teched in as a one of, like Snake Trap does, get teched in every once in a while, and people won't expect it, and then, you can punish them for it. When I'm thinking about the decks that are popular in on-ladder, and those being Secret Pally, Aggro Shaman, Aggro Druid, there's a lot of board presence on the enemy side, so this thing dealing 5 damage to a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit, probably going to be disappointed with that result. So, right now in the current game, I don't see it being played or being very successful.
Oh god, it deals damage to a random enemy?
Yeah. It could do face or it could do...
I thought I hit them in the face every time.
No.
This is unplayable.
Yeah, right. It's particular in the state of the meta right now with the...
Yeah, no, even if I hit face every time, it's like... Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, if it was just, if it was only face, then it would be, I don't know. I think it would be worse, but currently in the meta, it's worse because it can hit both. Because there's just too many Silver Recruits and imps and stuff like that in the meta right now. Okay, so we'll call it gimmick for now. Actually, how would you rank this in terms of traps or secrets right now for Paladin or not Hunter?
Better than Hunter Trap in the game.
You think it's worse? That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you.
I think it's on the level of Misdirection.
Misdirection, okay.
As like the bottom 2 Hunter Traps.
Oh man, that's not good.
Yeah, but even Misdirection, it's like one of those things where like every once in a while if you play it in and no one expects it, they grom your face for 10 damage, all of a sudden win the game. So yeah, maybe we'll see it played every once in a while as a one of.
Trolled in videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up, so that's a gimmick there. Shaman, we've got, all right, this is the second Murloc-centric card that we're seeing. 7-drop. It's every Fin is awesome. Give your minions +2/+2, cost 1 less for each Murloc you control. It's kind of like a, I don't know, kind of a Bloodlust type of move, I think, with a bunch of Murlocs. But better because it sticks for more than just one turn.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have probably at least 2 Murlocs to make this card decent on the board. And that's always the problem with, trying to theory craft. Can you ever have really? Are you ever really gonna have a board state where you have three or more Murlocs as a Shaman? If you do, you're probably already very far ahead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just see the problem being having a controlled state of board with Murlocs as a Shaman. If you do, for 7 mana, it's probably not good at all. For 5 mana, it's probably okay. Anything less than 4 mana, I would say it's very good. But having 3 mana or 3 Murlocs on the board as a Shaman, probably going to be pretty difficult.
So a win more card then, probably is what you're saying. Yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
Ray, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of every Shaman card that wants you to play like a traditional aggressive Shaman deck is a win more card because it's the minions themselves are not very durable, but they all play off of having a bunch of them stick somehow. And then this is like another spell that's like, okay, well, if you have a bunch of Murlocs, then it's really good. But
yeah,
if you have a bunch of Murlocs, then just having a bunch of Murlocs is already really good. So the problem with Murlocs is getting farmed by things like, Mini Bot and Haunted Creeper and just like actually good minions. Not a lack of blowing your opponent out with stuff. I will say that this card is like pretty well costed though. So if you can get maybe 1 or 2 Murlocs to stick. You can play like a late game Tiny Fin to like surprise them on the cost of this card.
Okay.
So that's decent. I think if you play Murlocs in the same turn and do this, like it's a pretty strong board. But overall, I have a hard time seeing like an aggressive Shaman deck be better than an aggressive deck that just plays good cards. This was always true. Like even when like Murloc was popular as a Warlock, Zoo is always just better in every way. And once I made that Zoo video, nobody played Murlocs anymore because Murlocs is like just worse. Like you kill them the same turn, but you kill them faster if none of your minions ever die. But that's like the only scenario where the deck is better, right? So would I play like an aggressive Shaman Murloc deck over just a traditional like burn aggro Shaman? Probably not. But maybe you could like combine the two. Maybe you take like the mech package in aggro Shaman and you remove that in favor of Murlocs and cut some burn as well. Maybe something like this could be good in a deck like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because this is a give any of your minions, right? Not just Murloc, +2/+2. So not sure everybody realized that or not, but yeah, a combo. I think a hybrid or a combo type of Shaman could work there. But another card again that people are going to be experimenting with and trying out. I'm sure we'll see some cool videos from the standpoint of everything is awesome. But right now, probably I think you guys would conclude it's gimmicky, or at least. Not good, but somewhere between gimmick and good.
Probably, yeah. The cool thing about anything can happen though, like the Paladin spell, is that it's like one of them that like it expects your minions to die because they're crappy, you know? So that's like another thing in favor of anything can happen. Like that card might actually become a thing because if your minions live, then you have a bunch of Murlocs, and if they die, then that's kind of the plan anyway. So.
Yeah. Plus value-wise, it's for the most part going to be over 10 value, I think, if you have 7 Murlocs, that is. All right, so last card is a Priest card, and it's called Entombed. 6 mana. Choose an enemy minion, shuffle it into your deck. What do you think?
This card's really good.
This card's like basically Siphon Soul, but you get the card too. Pretty cool.
Yes, like in traditional Priest, this card is just awful. I would say like you'd never play this. But I was playing a lot of Fatigue Priest a couple weeks ago, and this is the last week of Hearthstone where Fatigue decks win with Fatigue. It will never happen again after December 10th because of Elise Starseeker, but this week you can play Fatigue Priest with Entomb, which I'm really excited to do. And I think this card helps a lot. It's exactly what that deck needed. So should be fun.
Wait, so Elise Starseeker. This is the one. Okay, this is the one with the map to the golden monkey. Oh god, yeah. Okay, got it.
That card changes the way the like control and fatigue archetype is built in Hearthstone significantly. But that's a story for another week.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't really think of it like that. Okay, Entombed. VLPS, what do you think?
Thinking on what's currently popular with Priest being probably Dragon Priest more so than Control Priest. Obviously, we probably don't see it being played in a minion-based deck like Dragon Priest. You think on Control Priest, it's one of those cards that, like Reynad says, it's probably Control Priest is still considered bad, I would say. So fitting this card in probably wouldn't make the deck any better. I don't know. I guess you would have to come up with some type of maybe a slower Priest deck that can make it to turn 6 and later, and kind of run maybe 1 or 2 of these and have that fatigue mindset. Because from a fatigue standpoint, it's very strong. Where you're removing a minion from their side, shuffling into your deck, so you're making it in fatigue. You're having more cards or more cards in your deck. So I like it from that standpoint. I don't know. I still think that overall, Priest is in a tricky spot. I don't think they're in a good spot right now. At least Control or slow Priest decks. I think Dragon Priest is probably the way to go, and running this in Dragon Priest probably will not be happening.
Yeah, not in the current meta at least. 'Cause similar issue, right? Because there's just a lot of small minions on the board. I mean, a lot of filling the board with small minions type of decks right now. So Entombed could be really good later though, if it ever becomes more of a control based type of thing. Because it'd be nice to remove a Sarah and crap like that, right? With
oh yeah, that's the dream. Yeah.
maybe instead of mind control, you do this or something like that. And in those type of control priests. But definitely interesting card for the future. But I agree with you though. It's just the priest just got spells for the most part, right? It is getting the curator next week, but so far it's just been excavated evil and entombed, which I don't think really helps out the priest very much.
Curator's huge, man. It took them over 2 years to print a 2-drop for the class. Yeah, 2 years.
We talked. Yeah, that's true. So that's at least coming, but so far, at least right now, priest hasn't gotten helped. But next week, man, next week is going to be possibly a good week for priest. Or
the stats still suck on that card.
It does.
It's something. It's better than hero powering your opponent and emoting.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, that concludes Golden Gooder Gimmick. So definitely be